Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome back to the second edition of Wheels of Mercury's annual Golden Wheel Award. That's right, this is the second annual Golden Wheel Awards where we celebrate the best and the worst of 2022, according to your boy here of Wheels of Mercury. Now, we're gonna get the worst releases out of the year first before we talk about the best. The nominations for Wheels of Mercury's worst release of the year are as follows. Divisive by Disturbed, which was a boring album. This is the same list in every single song, and the drums are so fake and electronic that they hurt to listen to. And yeah, it's a Disturbed album. What more can be said? It has all the cadences of David Draymond going, you know, all the Disturbed hallmarks. Blech. The next nomination is to The Classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit by the UK metalcore and hard rock band Autopsy. It has very laugh-inducing lyricism, and Sam Carter, he only lets out a blah once in the entire album, and it's pretty bad. The last nomination for worst release of the year goes to Afterlife by everyone's favorite internet punching bag, Five Finger Death Punch. This sounds like complete garbage. Even through the better tracks like Pick Up After You, the production sounds fake and so muddy and so overproduced. It actually reminds me of some of the piss poor production job done by Matt Good from First to Last on Asking Alexandria's Like a House on Fire album back in 2020. And what in the world is Gold Gutter? What in the world is Gold Gutter, Ivan Moody? Tell me, what in the world is that song Gold Gutter? Because that's one of the worst songs I've ever heard this year. All the ad-libs are like, I can't wait to go to the movie. It's like, oh my god, this album is so awful. And the worst release of the year goes to Divisive by Disturbed. Again, it's so boring. Next up is to the most disappointing release of the year. Two albums that I thought were not bad, but didn't live up to lofty expectations. The first one is a bit of a killer for me. Blind Defeat by Deathspell Omega. It was after the albums like The Furnace is Apparent and Easier and EPs like Canose and stuff like Pericolitis. After those albums, this new Deathspell Omega album just sounds like really held back. The bass lines are really good. The lyrics are really good as always, but I don't know, it's just disappointing after all those masterworks they used to create. You know, it's just very disappointing. The next nomination is Hold the Girl by Rina Sawayama. It's an okay record, but it followed up my only 5 out of 5 review from a time I used to do numerical ratings here on Wheels of Mercury. It just follows a 5 out of 5 record and it just couldn't match its hype. That's all. The next nomination. You guys ready for this? This is gonna ruffle some feathers, I think. I know it's gonna ruffle some feathers. Pain Remains by Lorna Shore. There's some great songs on their own on here, but they just recycle that same formula. Will Ramos' amazing vocals, but it recycles that same formula of like constant blast beats and a deathcore breakdown at the end so much for over an hour that it becomes pretty exhausting to listen to. At least a record like Shadow of Intense has variety. This thing, on the other hand, it just gets old really fast. And the pain remains sweet. I'm sorry. but I don't find what's so emotional about it. It just sounds like very cheesy blockbuster music with like goblin vocals on top of it. It just doesn't strike a chord with me emotionally like what it did with so many metal YouTube reactors. The next disappointing release of the year is Requiem by the long-running nu metal institution Korn. It was such a boring snooze fest. Oh my gosh. They've never, ever been the band that they used to be when David Silvera was their drummer back in the 90s. They put their best stuff out with David Silvera. And this new record, they just sound like a regular rock band. There's none of that pizzazz, except for the last track. There's none of that guiding that Jonathan Davis does, that ooh-nabba-nabba. He does it in the last track, but by then, just like the Architects record, by then it's too late, and the record is so boring. And the last nomination for most disappointing release of the year is Origins by the Scottish atmospheric black metal band Seal, or Style as some people call it, but it's pronounced Seal. This actually felt like more of an instrumental album than what it was marketed as. Andy Marshall, his voice is like almost non-existent on the track. It's almost non-existent on the album, I mean. It's just underwhelming, and it's nothing like his 2014 record, Aura. It was just disappointing. And now the winner for the most disappointing release of the year goes to Hold the Girl by Rina Sawayama. Following up a 5 out of 5 record is very tough. Some artists smash it out of the park, and some artists strike out. Unfortunately for Rina, that was the latter. Now, the next category is the alternative metal / nu metal album of the year. The first nomination is Heroine by Thornhill. The all-encompassing influence of 2010 Deftones and Heavier Sleep Token is all over this thing, proving my theory that these guys, with this album and the album previous, were always an alternative rock band. They were always an alternative rock and metal band. They were never this metalcore band. I never thought they were metalcore. I always thought that was a bit of a trick to get metalcore fans into listening to them. This new album by Thornhill just proves that they're more of an alternative metal band in the vein of Deftones or Helmet. The next nomination is The Peace of Mind by Bad Omen. This breakout record sees the ex-metalcore group really embracing pop and R&B and electronic music to the fullest, bringing influences from the likes of The Weeknd and 9 Inch Nails and other influences from outside of metal and rock, and they do it very tastefully. Sure, it is a long record at almost an hour, but it's very good and it's very accessible. I feel like people who are not really into rock or metal music can get into it because of that accessibility. The next nomination is The Generation of Danger by the American nu metal band Kala. This record gave me chills. How intense it can get. Justin Barnett is an amazing vocalist. He's like Mike Patton meets Greg Puciato from the Dillinger Escape Plan, with how intense and how off-the-wall crazy you can get at times. Max Portnoy, yes, the son of that Mike Portnoy you probably know from Dream Theater's classic record, could very well fill in for Jay Weinberg in Slipknot. If Jay Weinberg ever got sick or injured, Max could probably do the job perfectly because he has a lot of Joey Jordison influence in his playing. And the last nomination for alternative metal / nu metal album of the year is The Hindsight Knows by Cold Night for Alligators. This band is from Denmark. Nobody is even talking about this album. It's a shame because this album is a great progressive alternative metal album with shades of Vola, Lapras, and Protest the Hero in there. And the guy sounds a little bit like Nico from Electric Cowboy. And so the winner of the alternative metal / nu metal album of the year is The Generation of Danger by Tyler! And I said before, that album is intense. Go listen to it. Next up is the hard rock and heavy rock album of the year. Starting off with the nomination of Otherness by Alexisonfire. St. Catherine's Hometown Heroes are back with their first album in 13 years, and they crush it. Dallas Green is amazing. George sounds amazing too. They have a more overt stoner rock influence from Queens of the Stone Age and bands like Kaya. It suits their maturity really well. They've really gone into their own in the past, 12 or 13 years that they've been dormant. And, they bring in those sort of influences from Dallas' side project City and Color into the band kind of nicely. As I said before, Dallas sounds incredible in some songs. Mistaken information. Anyway, the next nomination for hard/heavy rock album of the year is a controversial one. Those of you who watch Brad Taste in Music probably recognize it from his worst of list. But I don't care, I like this album. Planet Zero by Shinedown. It's radio rock with a shrewd, on-the-nose political commentary, right-leaning, but I don't care. I don't really care if some people get offended over what they're talking about. If you get offended over what Shinedown are talking about on this album, that's your problem. That's the whole point of the album. Wheels of Mercury from the future here, editing this video. I'm going to provide some extra commentary on the Shinedown album. If you are ticked off by the political angle of this new Shinedown album, Planet Zero, you might like a couple of the ballads on there. There's one ballad called Dysfunctional You that's all about mental health. And there is another ballad called, I think it's called A Symptom of Being Human. Those two ballads are really well done. I think A Symptom of Being Human is the best song in the entire album, in my opinion. So, for those who are turned off by the right-wing political angle, go check those songs out. Take past these comments with a grain of salt. You're gonna see me pop up in a couple more times during this video. So, yeah. Future me reporting back. The next nomination for hard/heavy rock album of the year is Pawns and Kings by Alter Bridge. Kick-ass heavy rock from Miles Kennedy, Mark Tremonti, and company. The 8-minute track on here is really freaking good, and there's also tracks like, there's also some badass heavy rock tracks on here too. Damn that, what are you hiding? And last but not least, the final nomination goes to We Made in Misery by Memphis Mayfire. What happens when Matty Mullins and company hang out with Wage War and Jacoby from Papa Roach? You get this new album by Memphis Mayfire. It's got 37 minutes of straight to the point, balls to the wall bangers. They're all very masterfully crafted. Especially that first track. Blood not thicker than water after all. Alright. Let's go to the next category, shall we? The classic style or melodic metal album of the year. This includes thrash metal, this includes speed and power metal, traditional heavy metal like 80s style heavy metal, like think like Iron Maiden and stuff like that, or doom metal. All the stuff that were popular in the 70s and 80s, redone for the modern day. Now the first nomination is Loud Arrival by the American heavy metal band Sanya. This is post-punk inspired trad metal with sort of sleazy lyrics, and it is kick-ass, it is awesome. It's like goth rock meets underground heavy metal. It's great. Check it out. The next nomination is Dream Killer by the band Sumerland. This is heavy metal from the Jakey Lee era of Ozzy Osbourne, but done with a modern coat of paint with some Top Gun soundtrack, interludes and stuff like that in there. Not interludes, but they do bookend some of the tracks. And Brendan again brings in a killer performance. The next nomination is Astral Portrait by Dark Zone. Fenris and Nocturnal put out a fun slab of black and doom metal and black and roll for the 20th studio album, and continued the current trajectory of the unashamed worship of legends like Celtic Frost, the cult legends Manila Road, and Black Sabbath. It's a fun album. Check it out. The next nomination goes to The Hyperborean by Furtherland. It is epic heavy metal and doom metal inspired by none other than Bathory, but with a singer much more skilled than Corson ever was. Corson was a terrible singer. But if you want to hear Bathory with better singing, check out his new Furtherland album. It is amazing, and the sound effects and the atmosphere are very similar to Hammerheart and Twilight of the Gods with the Viking metal influence. So check out Furtherland. The next nomination is Close by Mesa. The Italian doom metal genre blenders make the finest record yet, and I hope they're doing okay after the bus crash a couple months ago. And it seems to me they're doing fine because they're gonna be doing shows literally not too long after this gets uploaded. So yeah, I'm glad they're doing fine. Yeah, this new Mesa album is an amazing album. It's full of experiments into jazz, and there's even one grindcore song near the end of the album. I think it's called 0=2. They're really talented, and they're one of my favorite doom metal bands. And I don't have a lot of favorite doom metal bands. The next nomination is Immortal's Requiem by Phantom Spell. This is excellent heavy metal influenced progressive rock akin to like a heavier Kansas, or if you know your 80s British new wave of heavy metal band, Triumphant. Funny story, when I listened to this album on YouTube, I actually said in a comment, "This sounds like Triumphant," and then the guy wrote back to me, "Oh, thank you. We really love Triumphant." So yeah, pretty cool. So the last nomination for classic or melodic metal album of the year goes to Reckoning by Hellfire. Excellent trad and thrash metal, only held back by a poor mixing job, unfortunately. But songs like "I Get to the Violence!" There's just so many good songs on there. I have to shout out Angry Metal Guy for turning them on to me. Thank you, Angry Metal Guy, for your suggestion and for the 4 out of 5 review. Appreciate it. So, the winner of the classic / melodic metal album of the year goes to Close by Mesa. I had to give it to Mesa. Mesa have been one of my favorite bands for a while in the area of doom metal. And like I said before, I hope they're doing fine. They can only go up from here after a horrible accident like that. Now, the next category is Death Metal Album of the Year. Truth be told though, I haven't really listened to too much death metal this year. I've been more into black metal this year as a whole. I did get into death metal records, so I still do like death metal. So let's get into those records, okay? First off, In Darkness at Last by Aries Kingdom. This is a stupidly underrated 3-piece band that delivers some of the best obituary-style death metal you're ever gonna hear. And they even channel from new wave of British heavy metal energy and go melodic in the penultimate track, A Wolf on the Fold. They are severely underrated. If you like obituary, you can't go wrong with Aries Kingdom. Get on them. Next up is Beyond Rachel by Swamp Boy. The debut from this Russian band is quite a trip, akin to album From Between the Buried and Me. They are an excellent progressive black and death metal band. Hope they can get out of their country because of their crappy government. And yeah, I hope the best for them. The politics in Russia and Ukraine are just messed up right now. Spirit of Ecstasy by Imperial Triumphant. This is avant-garde jazzy death metal fury from a champagne-loving math maven. I saw them live opening up for Zero and Order back in October. That drum performance just blew the roof off the place. It was incredible. One of the best drum performances I've seen all year. And surprise cameo, Kenny G. Yeah, that Kenny G is actually on this freaking album. Holy crap. I used to listen to Kenny G's Christmas music when I was young, and I never thought for a second, what if he was on an extreme metal album? I never thought I'd see Kenny flippin' G on an extreme metal album, but I guess that's a 2020 thing. Stuff you never thought would happen, happened, you know? Yeah, Imperial Triumphant, Spirit of Ecstasy, great record. The next nomination is Morbidity, Triumphant by Autopsy. The kings of melding traditional doom metal with gory death metal are back, and stuff like Nice Like Out Chop and other fun gory song titles. It's just a treat. Amazing fun time, and yeah. And these guys know how to play their brand of Black Sabbath inspired doom metal. They've been doing it for so long, and with so much style and so much poise and, you know, so much griminess and grittiness. Shout out to Autopsy for just plugging along after all these years. The second to last nomination for Death Metal Album of the Year is Jubilant by Rip the Shred. Everything from Dismember to Underground Heroes and Test on Ballism influences this album by Andrew Lee's death metal crew Rip the Shreds, focused on issues pertaining to injustice against Asians and Asian Americans. This is a short album, but it's very well paced and it's very well made. Got a buzzsaw HM2 sound, and I know Necrotic Nick loves the HM2 buzzsaw sound. I like certain bands that do that stuff, and Rip the Shred is one of them. And the final nomination for Death Metal Album of the Year is The Enigma Boundless by Sadistic Ritual. The death thrash band from Atlanta is just absolutely violent, and they have killer songwriting, killer hooks, killer riffs. Check it out. Alright, so who is the winner for Death Metal Album of the Year? That's who we're gonna find out right now. With that, I'm going to select Spirit of Ecstasy by Imperial Triumphant. I just had to select it. Yeah, that drum performance when I saw him live, maybe that had to do with it, but man, what an amazing record. On to my bread and butter from when I was a teenager. This is the metalcore / post-hardcore album of the year, a genre that I've grown up with, and one of those bands that I was never really into until recently is the first nominee, and that is The Devil Wears Prada with their album Color Decay. Oh my gosh, how do I put this album into words? It's just such an emotional record. It's an example of how to keep your style but mature a lot from it. And I've even been mimicking Mike Heretica's scream style. So I gotta die! That sort of weird, emotional scream he does. Every song is so good. I just feel like listening to it now. The same can be said for this next nominee, Techno by Electric Callboy. This is fun, 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 and fun. Metalcore / EDM / partycore / LMFAO partycore fun time. You know, if you don't have Puppet on your gym playlist, you're losing the gym, bud. Ha! Da 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 da. Now it's time to get serious, because the next album is Obsidian by Northlane. Northlane, I think, are keeping the spirit of Chester Bennington and Linkin Park alive with some slight gent and EDM influences thrown in there too. It's sort of cyber metalcore, if you will. There's one track on there in particular. That one should have been a single. Forget what it was called, and it's really well done. Great album. The next nominee is They Feel It by the band Ithaca. Perfect for those of you who want more of Spirit Box's sound, and perhaps even better than Spirit Box. Yeah, I said it. This is better than Spirit Box, I think. The main thing is she's incredible. She's got a great voice. And yeah, that's all I can say. There are actually a few more things I have to say about this Ithaca record, actually. For starters, the album name They Feel It is a representation of the prejudice and racism that the main frontwoman experienced as a woman in a metal band from a lot of racist men and stuff. And so that's what the album name represents for them. There is actually a song that ends the album that is a lot like a Big Thief track. Think like Adrian Lenker sort of stuff. It's really well done and it closes off the album beautifully. So yeah, future me reporting from the editing table to give context to this Ithaca record. See you around, folks. The next album is very serious too. A eulogy for those still here by the Hamilton, Ontario, Canada-based band Counterpart. This is an emotional record for the hardcore group. Opening track, the true opening track, which is the second track on the album, Whispers of Your Death, is about Brendan Murphy, the vocalist, his cat Kuma. Kuma recently passed away, and yeah, this is about when Kuma was in the hospital. I'm a cat lover too, so I can sort of sympathize with the song's meaning. So yeah, all the songs are really good. It's a really emotional listen, but it's really heavy too. Check it out if you like that kind of stuff. The last nominee for Metalcore / Proto-Gore album of the year is Cult Mentality by Avoid. It's a very fun little metalcore album with a lot of creativity behind it. There's some R&B touches there, some not like Metallica on one song, I forget what song it is. But it's just a laid back, fun metalcore album, just to enjoy, man. Just awesome jam. Now, the winner of the Metalcore Post-Hardcore album of the year goes to Color Decay by The Devil Wears Prada. Like I said before, I feel like putting that album on again. Great band. Next up is the melodic death metal / deathcore album of the year. Well, it's technically melodic death metal album of the year, but I'll tell you when we get to the deathcore part of it. This year I haven't really been into the more mainstream melodic death metal, like the melodic death metal which is more melodic than death metal. I'm actually into the more very niche death metal centric style of the genre, stuff like early At the Gates and later carried on by bands like Intestine Ballism and a certain Virginian group. Anyways, the first melodic death metal and deathcore album of the year nominee is one of those bands that are inspired by that certain controversial melodic death metal band from Virginia. Trumpets Blare and Blazing Glory by Grenadier. Grenadier is from Newfoundland. They play a Wet n' Wild style of melodic death metal, and they do this style better than a certain other band from Virginia. The riffs are just phenomenal. Just from the moment that this riff starts and the opening song, the moment that riff starts, it just falls off to the races. It's just bang! It's just amazing. I must have spun this thing so many times, and it's just incredible. It's just incredible. If you're tired about one Virginian band because of their horrendously racist lyrics, and you want something that sounds like them but doesn't have those racist lyrics, check out Trumpets Blare and Blazing Glory. You won't regret. The next nominee for melodic death metal / deathcore album of the year is From Which Nightmares METALCORE by Sacrilegion. Yeah, this is their debut album, released in December of 2022, and it scratches the brutal melodeath itch that Intestine Ballism, Dungeon Serpent, and a few others fill in as well. It might not be the perfect itch scratcher for that sort of thing, but they do it well, and you know, that's the type of melodic death metal I like. They do it really well. Check it out if you like Intestine Ballism. The next nominee is Days of the Lost by the Halo Effect. Now, this is more on the melodic side of melodic death metal, but it performed well. It's Gothenburg style, and this is a supergroup featuring members of Dark Tranquility and In Flames. The songs are all well constructed, and Mikael Stan is a very good vocalist. I like it. The penultimate nominee for Melodic Death Metal and Deathcore Album of the Year is Overgiven Heaven by Soilwork. This hurt to me because not long after that album released, the guitarist David Anderson passed away. Some of the lyrics on that album really dealt with David's struggles with alcoholism and stuff like that. And just from what I've heard, it was just really out of control. It's heartbreaking, man. I used to be a huge fan of Soilwork from 2013 to 16. David was the new guy. I still think of him as the new guy. And just to see him gone, it's just so surreal. A huge rest in peace for him. Bjorn sounds great on the album too. He sounds fantastic. But mainly why I put it here is to pay tribute to David Anderson. It's a great album too. And also the interludes on the album are really good too, and they help flesh it out. Yeah, rest in peace David Anderson, and I hope Soilwork can continue on after this. Whatever they do is up to them. The last nominee for this category is Erebos by Venom Prison. They are the only kind of deathcore band in this category. It's sort of like Carcass if they had hardcore breakdowns, basically. The singer, she's pretty good at what she does. It's a good album. Check it out. And the winner of the Melodic Death Metal / Deathcore Album of the Year goes to Trumpet Blare and Blazing Glory by Grenadier. Oh my gosh. If you want some heavy metal inspired melodic death metal that isn't racist, check out Grenadier. Check them out. On to my most listened to genre of 2022. Black metal. Black metal was the genre I listened to so much in 2022. I might have a black metal project that I'm working on secretly. But anyways, black metal scratched an itch in me. But a lot of other extreme metal genres didn't. It's just so emotional, so primal, so raw. It's that sort of stuff that brings me into black metal. So here are the nominees for Black Metal Album of the Year. The Pact by Negative Plane. This is an amazing album. It's like if Kronos from Venom sung for Merciful Fate. And it's incredible. The next album nominated for Black Metal Album of the Year is Dimension So Far by Wallflower. It's great black metal, but it's sung in German. And there's something about the German language, for me, that works so well with black metal. Like over-enunciated German, it works so well for me. I don't know why, it just does. There's tons of great riffs on this record, and it's very underrated. If you need some quality German black metal, don't hesitate to check this one out. False Light by White Ward. The Ukrainian jazz / atmospheric black metal band is really quite something this year. They're combining like jazz, post-punk, and black metal all together. It's just masterful. The opening track, Leviathan, is just amazing. Gehenna by Gavella. With apologies to Deathspell Omega, this band has them beat. Dissonant melodies and orthodox black metal by this Montreal band. It's just really good. And yeah, the passages are just evil and it's just demented, and yeah, and it's on the same record label as Deathspell Omega. So yeah, it's really good. The next one is in Portuguese, so I'm going to read this off the tablet here. Por Nos da Ventaya by Varuvia. I probably said that wrong. This is great genre-defying Brazilian black metal that is just almost impossible to describe. It is one of the 3 projects by Kyle Lemos, who I think is one of the most insanely gifted black metal musicians working today. What I would describe Varuvia as is just like sweaty, hot rainforest metal. Kinda. You're just gonna have to listen to it for yourself, but it's insane. Following up on album names that are hard to pronounce, another one by this Polish band called Wadruszewski Whiter that I think translates to Whispering Wind in English, and the album is called Deutsche Daje Okma. It is like an indie Polish fantasy film for your ears. It's amazing. Honestly, it got the atmosphere of being in a woods, like a fairy tale sort of atmosphere. Wow, it's incredible. The next nominee for Black Metal Album of the Year is The Grove by Fortress of the Pearl. This is a side project from Aloth from Spectral Lore. It's beautiful and inventive use of black metal led by harpsichord and piano, and it's just beautiful, amazing. It's just very classically composed. Yeah, it's forward thinking. I don't know if I've heard anything in black metal quite like it, and shout out to Meatbreak from Transmissions from a Dark YouTube channel. He had this the pinned video. I clicked on it, and the first thing I said was, what the hell is this? And why is it so good? It's just incredible. And the last nominee, but not least, is MELODIC by the Icelandic black metal band Mystery. This recently incumbent heir to the throne of the Icelandic black metal scene is an organically produced album that, while not groundbreaking in any stretch of the imagination, is very well performed. They've got some very good tracks. The opening track is fiery, and one of the tracks even evokes the best of WoM'S philosophy. It's a great black metal album that was released really late into the year, like December 14th, I think. If you like black metal, check this thing out. Now, we gotta give some short releases their due. What better way to celebrate those short releases by putting them in Wheels of Mercury's best short release of the year list. This includes split, demos, and EPs. First in the list for the short release of the year, Lunar Requiem by Ebony Pendant and Lamp of Murmur. 2 of the biggest up-and-rising bands in the black metal underground right now teamed up for a wonderful split with appearances from none other than Crying Orc of Rock fame on the Ebony Pendant side. I think it's the second track. I can almost describe it as a black metal duet. Kind of fun. Both of those sides end with piano/instrumental track. It's great. The next nominee in the best short release of the year goes to an album in Turkish, which I would try to pronounce, but I'll probably butcher. Orhan Adi Tam Kide Padol by the band Kosnat. This is like dissonant black metal renditions of like Turkish folk music. I never thought that Turkish folk music and dissonant black metal like DEATHCORE Omega and other bands like that mixed together would work so well. It's fantastic. Only like 17 minutes long, or even less even. It's fantastic. Throes of Death from a Dream's Nihilism by Bekor Kilish is an insane death metal EP that you all should check out. It got some insane bass work, and one guy on Bandcamp called it Urush with like weird death metal inspired band combined. Yeah, that's accurate for sure. The next nominee is the first demo by Autopsy. They are a band from Belgium, I think, and they do awesome black and punk, similar to Dark Souls crust punk punk period. Another explanation from the editing table from future me here, the Autopsy demo is very well composed and a lot of black and punk jams and melodies that can stick in your head, and you know, it's very well composed, dark zone-esque crust punk and black metal. And if you like that stuff, you're gonna love this. Just like Past Me is insinuating, but he never ever said it. So, you can give Past Me some crap for not saying enough. Sign it up! The next nominee on this list is Piercing Through the Frozen Eternity by Moonlight Sorcery. I know quite a few YouTubers who have this on their list. Ice cold finished black metal with ripping solos and icy cold production and just perfect drum sound. It's just 24 minutes of blasting fury. The next release on this list is not a metal release. It's the collaboration between Asian Glow and Weather Day called Weather Glow. Anthony Fantano reviews this album and really plays it. It is emo, bedroom pop with Sonic Youth influence. It's just a whirlwind of emotions and a whirlwind of atmosphere, and you should listen to it. The third last release nominated for Best Short Release of the Year is the Dragon Skull EP by the band Dragon Skull. This is killer epic heavy metal in the vein of Eternal Champion and cult underground favorites like Omen and Jag Panzer. It is just brutish, barbarian, heavy metal with a rebel spirit. These guys need to get signed to a label ASAP. If you like Eternal Champion and old 80s US power metal, don't hesitate to check it out. The penultimate short release that I'm going to be talking about here for nominees for Best Short Release of the Year is Molten Hands Reach West by the American black metal band Grave Pilgrim, melding black metal with classic rock star attitude and some of the very best riffs I've heard all year. They're like playing medieval flute melodies on guitar. It's mind blowing. There's this one riff on the title track that goes, I didn't do it well, but you know it when you hear it. It's incredible. And last but not least is Romantic One by Bergfried. This debut EP from Austrian musician Eric Lillet of the Bandcamp project Ancient Mastery, Courageous Upon Others, really features the vocals of his friend, who is an amazing singer. It's a hybrid of melodic heavy metal with some weird touches of like pop in there too. I even see one track that was like influenced from Vampire Weekend of all things, and another track that, the last one on the EP actually, that pretty much reminds me of Lumineers or something from like Mumford and Sons. It's a very weird EP. It's fantastic. It's very short. It's only 15 minutes, but it goes by fast. And it also reminds me of a more upbeat, modern, and esoteric version of Lordy and God, which was the project of late Warlord guitarist Bill Samet that he did with his wife back in the late 1990s. So that's what Bergfried reminds me of. And now we get to the big boys, starting with Wheels of Mercury, Song of the Year for 2022. Going from the bottom of the list now to the first nominee, which is Falling Through the Sky by Fit for a King. One of Bubba Wallace's favorite bands released a banger this year, which is a pretty good radio banger. I'm gonna have to give him that. It's very well constructed. It echoes the best parts of Bring the Horizon, Bad Omens, all those good radio metalcore acts that are finding a stupid amount of success these days. Next on the list for nominees is The Waters Rising by Oceans of Slumber. Holy moly. This song is incredible. Cammy Gilbert from Oceans of Slumber is an amazing vocalist. and she continued to show why she is one of the best vocalists in metal, in my opinion. She just kills it on the track, and the atmosphere from the keyboards to the subdued drums just paints a picture of what Cammy is talking about in the lyrics. The refrain about taking her to the open sky and to the water's edge is just very beautiful and very gothic tinged too. A lot of blues influence coming out of Cammy's voice. It's an amazing song, and if you haven't really heard Oceans of Slumber before, you should check out the song right now. Another beautiful track on this list of nominees for the song of 2022 is God Turned Me Into a Flower from the latest album from Wheels Blood, aka Natalie Merling. It is a beautiful song with crescendos, and that part where the strings come in and the violin goes, and then Natalie's vocals come in. It's just beautiful. Oh my gosh. Every time I have goose pimples come out my arm because of listening to that track. Every time, without fail. Probably the best track on that entire record. Well, we're gonna take a dark turn with this next nominee because, oh boy, we've got Grimace smoking weed, all underscores between the words .jpeg by the sludge metal band Chat Pile. Oh my gosh. This is just unhinged and scary. No song in metal or rock has made me feel quite this way since Korn Daddy. When I first heard Korn Daddy when I was 15 years old on YouTube, back when YouTube was having those like Windows Movie Maker lyric videos. Yeah, it's just Grimace smoking weed. It's just a terrifying song. I remember when I first heard it, I almost broke down in tears hearing it because as a person who struggles with some fears and stuff and has had seen stuff out of the corner of his eye that is kind of shouldn't be there as a result of having some fears that I have that I'm not going to discuss here, but it would probably be good to discuss for like a Q&A video or something. I relate to that, and this song really illustrates that in horrifying detail. It just floored me the first time I heard it. And now we are going to the more blasphemous, fun type of evil. So we turn to the West by the black metal band Negative Plane. This part of the new Negative Plane record is amazing. It's catchy, especially the chorus that is like 3 turn to the east, another to the west. I get that stuck in my head a lot. Next on the list is the band behind me. You can't see the name up top, but for those in the know, Asking Alexandria. But it's not from this album. This was when they had Dennis Shafferostar as a singer. This is a new song by Asking Alexandria that made this list of best songs of 2022 called Miles Away. And it was a ballad left over from the sessions of the 2020 album Like a House on Fire that was a heartfelt tribute to the guitar technician who passed away a few years back. This guitar technician also worked for Black Veil Bride, and it was scrapped by the former record label Sumerian Records for being too emotional, and it's a great hard rock ballad. It's that whole Shinedown school of hard rock, but luckily I like that whole Shinedown school of hard rock. And this is an impassioned performance by Danny Worsnop and a good solo by Ben Bruce. And yeah, good tribute, guys. Awesome song. The next on the list of nominees is Shadow Side Kingdom by Worm. The EP Blue Nothing. Most of it didn't really do anything for me. However, the last 2 tracks, especially this track I'm talking about, were amazing. This track in particular, Shadowside Kingdom, is them doing black metal instead of the usual death doom. They used to be a black metal band, and them coming back to that style after spending a bit in death doom, it shows it is freaking awesome. As I'm more of a black metal fan, they did the whole Emperor in the Night Guide Eclipse slash at the welcome at the end, but you know what I mean. Those two albums. They did that Emperor sound like just incredible. Just like amazing dark atmosphere and just wow. The next song on this list is The Dripping Tap by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. That's right, I've got King Gizzard on here, and The Dripping Tap is an 18-minute jam against oil. And you know what? That equals a win. The middle of the song where it really gets going and it's like dip dip from the top, dip dip. Dip dip from the top, dip 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 dip. Dip dip from the top, dip dip. Dip dip from the top, dip 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 dip. Dip dip from the top, dip dip. Dip dip from the top, dip 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 dip. Dip dip from the top, dip dip. Dip dip from the top, dip 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 dip. Okay, let's get sad because the next song on this list is Glimpse of Us by Joji. The artist formerly known as Filthy Frank goes tender in what is probably, most likely, the best mainstream ballad of this year. I am a sucker for good piano ballad. Give me Adele, give me Louis Capaldi. Yes, I love Louis. I don't care what music nerds have to say about Louis. I love Louis, okay? And now Joji with a beautiful ballad that has been a hit for him. I just love how simple it is. I love how replayable it is. A beautiful song. And that's all I need to say. The next song on this list is Paralyzed by the Swedish metalcore band. Oh my gosh. I am surprised that this song hasn't really broken out into the wider metalcore sphere because this song should have been a hit for them. That chorus where we scream paralyzed and I can't save the dark. It reminds me of that Bad Omens chorus from the first album on the song Broken Youth, when Noah screams, we are the broken gods. It has that same sort of energy as that song. Yeah, and it also kind of reminds me of IO-era Parkway Drive. And yeah, it's an awesome song all around. Well, we're coming up on the last two entries of this nominees list for Song of the Year. The first of these last two entries is Concord by Black Country New Road. I could literally pick any song that's not an interlude or an intro from this album, but I picked Concord despite it technically releasing in 2021 as a single. But I still think this is one of the best songs, regardless of if it's a single or not. One of the best songs Isaac ever wrote for Black Country New Road. His similes are awesome. I love the line about Billie Eilish, because his similes are awesome. Disregard the noise in the background. Somebody is working on something in the background, so you can still hear me over the noise. Alright, anyways, Concord is an amazing song. It's just tender, and if you haven't listened to Black Country New Road yet, go listen to Concord. It'd be a great introduction for the band to you. Hope I'm saying that coherently. So the last song on the list is The Law of Asbestos by Ashen Spider. As with Black Country New Road, I could put any song from this flipping album, but I chose The Law of Asbestos simply because of this awesome line. Always 3 months to the gutter, never 3 months to the peak. Just when you listen to that song, read the lyrics. They're all about class struggle, and they're all about how we're trying to survive in a broken system that is just killing the earth and everything, you know? And I love it. It's just such a spine-chilling and inspiring call to action that these guys from Scotland they just sound urgent. The winner for Wheels of Mercury Song of the Year for 2022 is the song I just talked about, The Law of a Best by Action Spire. Again, this song is a call for action. Listen to it. Next, and now, before we get to the albums of the year for metal and non-metal albums of the year for Wheels of Mercury, first let me talk a little bit about this list of honorable mentions I have. Black Blade 1 by Black Blade, pretty good black metal album. I think people who love Wolves in the Throne Room and stuff like that will love this album. Survive by Stratovarius. This one actually surprised me. I haven't heard Stratovarius for a long time. I used to listen to them when I was a teenager, and it surprised me a lot. I'm not really a European power metal fan aside from Dragon Force, but Stratovarius managed to do it without sounding cheesy, which is a feat in and of itself, especially these days with all these gory hammer, those cheeseball bands. Disharmonium, Undreamable Abysses by Blut As Nord. Let me put this succinctly. If H.P. Lovecraft made a metal album, this is what it would sound like. Alright, next. The Agony and Ecstasy of Watain by Watain. A great black metal album with a lot of variety. I'm not going to say anything more than that, because if you know Watain, you're getting what you're getting, and it's just a good album. Synchro Anarchy by Voivod. This was my first time around with Voivod, actually, and I think because of me getting into vocalists like the guy from Manila Road and stuff like that, really helped me appreciate Snake vocals. I think they're like the champions of microtonal thrash metal. They just do the weird style really well, like playing in between notes sort of riffage, As the blood of God bursts the veins of time by Liturgy. I know Liturgy's a very, like a hipster sort of black metal band, but I don't care. I know they're very pretentious, but I don't care. I think Ravenna Hunt Hendricks is a genius. The way she communicates theology and all that through music is utterly fascinating to me. This stuff is amazing, and I can't wait for the new album, of which the first 3 tracks on this EP, by the way, are all one track on the album. Where Light Would Not Dare by Zatir. This is a great Swedish raw Dark Throne by way of Merciful Fate hybrid band. It's good. Viper Face by Barbarian. Well, they're called Barbarian, and it sounds like barbarians making metal. It sounds exactly what you got. Scoring the End of the World by Motionless in White. This is a fun album. This Motionless in White album is some of the most memorable lines I've heard this year. Yeah, it is cringy, but I'd rather an album be cringy and memorable than boring. And I cannot stop singing the hook of Red, White, Boom! Oh, and also, it's just really fun. Each song has its own unique sort of theme going on, and each song has its own unique thing. It's just a fun ride. Ordalit by Vehema. This was one of my albums of the year contenders early on in the year. But even though it fell out of that, I still considered it very great French black metal. If you like stuff like a certain controversial band from France and stuff like Unfell, I think you'll like this. Check it out, man. Emissary by Emissary from Finland. There's a bunch of other Emissary bands, but this Emissary band I'm talking about, as I just said, is from Finland. And they play the style of Brocus Helm-like heavy metal. If you know that type of heavy metal, you know it. The heavy metal where everything is so raw that it's almost falling apart, but somehow it still sounds like a song. Like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. It's very raw and very 80s. Yeah, it's just very fun. We're gonna go for Ukraine for this next couple entries in the list of honorable mentions with Group All Belong to the Night. This was a good album. Not as good as Blood in Our Wells or Autumn Aurora. Autopsy being my favorite, but it's a fine album by the group, and I really love the guitar lick from November. I got it stuck in my head a lot. It's like November is a great song on that record. And speaking of Druk, I've also nominated for my honorable mentions list the side project, Hate Forest, with their album Innermost. I know Hate Forest is a very controversial band, but thankfully those controversies are not because of the lyrics or anything like that. I love the like blasty drum machine black metal. It's a good time. Nice and simplistic. It's blasty. If you like blast beats, you're gonna like Innermost. Another pick on this list that might cause a little bit of controversy is Amongando by the Finnish band Satanic Warmaster. This is black metal, but doesn't really necessarily reinvent a wheel, but it doesn't have to. It just started black metal, and it's enjoyable. Yeah, the main member of Satanic Warmaster is a freaking idiot, but damn, he makes some great black metal music. I mean, that's just black metal in a nutshell, I guess. Storm of Magic by Iron Griffin, some traditional doom metal meet heavy metal meet 70s prog with a female singer. It's really good as well. It's very archaic, it's very folky, it just sounds like it was unearthed from the 70s or 80s. Mainly the 70s. It's just really good. And In the Darkness, Hearts Aglow by Wyatt's Blood. This is a good follow-up to Titanic Rising. Not as good as Titanic Rising, but good enough. Its lyrics might be a little on the nose with what went on in the past couple years, but it's still a great album. It's still well performed, and Natalie still sounds excellent as ever. Doesn't reach to the height that Titanic Rising did, but there are some great songs. I'm going to end this list of honorable mentions with all 4 albums released by the Conlang black metal project Tra. This is a project by a guy who I have talked about this guy's other project, Sadness, before. And this is like if Sadness were weirder, were more interested in the Lake Legion Noir's style of really weird esoteric black metal mixed with Paysage d'Hiver. He puts out music so fast. I can't even keep up to his output. I like all 4 of them equally for different reasons. But the one I would recommend to start with is Vatjalinva, which is the one with him sticking his tongue out with the light, or the newest one that got released in December of 2022. So, yeah, all 4 Tra releases. Now we truly get to the big one, with Wheels of Mercury's non-metal album of the year. Starting with a Dungeon Synth album? Yeah, a Dungeon Synth album. Deep in the Dungeons of the Dragon Lord by Wraith Knight. I don't often talk about Dungeon Synth on the channel. I've only talked about that genre once, in fact, before. Most of it is good, but not great. It's all just MIDI keyboard music and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, it's good, but this right here, it's on another level. It's incredible orchestral fantasy synth music that toes the line between Dungeon Synth and legit film score. It's honestly one of the most refreshing things I've heard in that whole esoteric electronic subgenre. And fun fact, it's actually a project done by the guitarist of Uada, his brother. Yeah, Wraith Knight. Get on this album if you thought Dungeon Synth was just cheap RuneScape music. This is more like a film score. Get on it. Now the next one is sort of emblematic of a recent trend I've been getting into. I've been getting into neo-folk a lot. Stuff like Current 93, Death in June, Soul Invictus, and others. This new Current 93 album is stupidly underrated. David Tibet from Current 93 has this, I would basically describe it as apocalyptic sing-songy poetry slam. It's just like, and the pine on the top of the world is so bright. Like that. He's been doing this Current 93 project for a long time, since the 80s. With this new project over here, If a City is Set Upon a Hill, it is an absolutely sublime neo-folk album. David Tibet still has it. It still sounds wonderful. A bit aged, but still wonderful. It's a shame that this is going unnoticed, because this is not on Spotify, it's not on Apple Music, it's not even on YouTube Music, for goodness sake. It's only on Bandcamp, and the only people loving this album that I've seen is YXXM. It was on YXXM's best of list, and people from Rate Your Music. This needs to be more promoted and all that. It's just such a crying shame. It's such a meditative and ominous yet beautiful record that if you want to get into neo-folk, and if you don't mind the whole Bob Dylan-esque sing talk voice, you get on it. Roll with your time. Dark Light by Death Dynamic Shroud. I've talked about Death Dynamic Shroud once before on this channel, but this new album really marks an amazing evolution for this project. Actually, all three of the members of Death Dynamic Shroud, for the first time since they worked on one album in the past. I think it was in 2014. I'm not entirely sure. But this is the first time since then that all three members worked on that same project. And it is an amazing post-vaporwave, damp, electronic record with all these like woozy synthesizers and amazing sampling that it gives me life. It's incredible. If you thought vaporwave was all boring sampling and slow pitch, slowed down sampling and all that, this is not that. This is way more creative. Omnium Gatherer by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Well, basically, King Gizzard has been stylistic chameleons for the better half of the 10 years that they've been a band. If you want to get into King Gizzard, I think this would be the perfect album for you to start off with. It's got jam band songs, it's got rock songs, it's got metal songs, it's got even a couple rap songs on there that are surprisingly pretty funny. Yeah, it's got the full package of King Gizzard. Check it out. Of course, what Wheels of Mercury list would not be complete without a mention of St. Catherine's Hometown Heroes, Alexis on Fire, with their album Otherness. Like I said before, it was a great return for Alexis on Fire, and I actually saw them live at a local park here in St. Catherine, and it was one of the best concerts I've ever seen. Yeah, Alexis on Fire, Otherness. We're going to the last two entries on this list for non-metal album of the year, and first up is Hellfire by Black Midi. This is batshit insanity, and I mean that in the best way possible. I can't even begin to describe how many instances I want. What the heck? All the weird, zany stuff in it. I forget what song it was, but I still have this lick stuck in my head when I it's insane. I bet you if Frank Zappa was alive today, he would really appreciate these guys because they're channeling him in the best way possible. And finally, Ant from Up There by Black Country New Road. If you've been on internet music discussion forums and all that, you've probably seen it at least once. What can I say? Isaac Wood delivered a show-stopping performance on this record and then left the band. And best of luck to Isaac and best of luck to the band going forward. Yeah, that's all I need to say about that. And the winner for Wheels of Mercury's non-metal album of the year is Black Country New Road Ants from Up There. Just to talk more about this Ants from Up There album, so many songs are so good. The place where he inserted the blade is just such a sad and thoughtful song. So beautiful though. And the interlude, the friend Mark who passed away from COVID, is amazing. All the tracks are amazing. But if you want to get into it, Backcountry New Road, like I said before, check out this album, especially the song Concord. Yeah, they are insanely talented, and I can't wait to see where they'll go next. I've even seen some of the songs they've been doing since Isaac left the band. They haven't recorded, but they played all new songs live, and I must say, they're gonna do alright with Isaac, I think. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised by the quality of the singing on the next album, but not surprised by their instrumental talent. People already know that they're very talented. Those who know underground music would know that Black Country New Road, I just sort of repeated myself, but Black Country New Road is a very talented band instrumentally. So, yeah, that's my non-metal album of the year, Black Country New Road, and From Up There. And now, for my metal album of the year, who will take home the metal album of the year? Let's find out. First off, we got the biggest surprise of the year from this one-man project from Toronto called Autopsy and his album Moon of Foul Magic. This guy completely came out of the blue and surprised the heck out of me with this hour-long album of spellbinding extreme metal with nod to Dissection, Vector, and other thrash, black, and death metal bands, all blended together. The songs are fantastically composed, all the vocals are done with the utmost care and respect. It's just done by an anonymous musician who just cares so much for how a metal album should sound in this day and age. The only thing that holds us back, he is using a drum machine, but the drum machine is very well programmed. So yeah, Autopsy, Moon of Foul Magic. Next up is God's Country by Chat Pile. I've only heard this album through twice, and I actually put it on this upon first listen. It's the most intensely cathartic listen I've heard all year from a rock or metal band. These guys are insane. The vocal performance by Reagan Bush, oh man, it is very intense. So yeah, God's Country by Chat Pile. Next is Monument to Impermanence by Pyrite. This album by Pyrite is stupidly underrated avant-garde sludge metal. And it's a debut too. There are weird experiments with found sound and found instruments like trash cans and stuff like that, performed by some of the guys from Norton, actually, making a guest appearance. Actually, the vocalist from the avant-garde death metal band Piron makes an appearance on one of the songs too. It just fits the music like a glove. It's about ecological and environmental destruction and stuff like that, and it's an amazing sludge album. I'm not really a sludge fan, but between this one and the Chat Pile album, man, I finally found two sludge albums that managed to become rivals to anything by Thou, by default, my favorite sludge band. And yeah, Monument to Impermanence by Pyrite. Stupidly underrated, get on it. Next is Corpo Transparente by Breed. This is a genre blending mix of black metal, electronic dance music, classical, and so much more by a 36-minute long single track from Kyle Lemos. Now, I mentioned him before. Kyle Lemos is a genius, in my opinion. He is pushing black metal forward into the future. I truly believe that. And this long 36-minute song needs to be heard to be believed. It's all these classical passages and these EDM passages, and it just needs to be heard to be believed. Corpo Transparente by Bree. The second to last entry on this list is Hostile Architecture by Inspire. When I described this to Robert Walton from the Metal Meltdown, I said it's Black Country New Road gone left wing and gone black metal. And I stand by that. They talk about class division. They talk about how architecture degrades living for homeless people and stuff like that. It's an amazing record. And the last metal album of the year that I want to point out is called The Pact by Negative Plane. It's like if Kronos from Venom done for Merciful Fate. And it is an awesome gothic concept record about a haunted cathedral and all the sorts of mysticism going on with that haunted cathedral. It is amazing. If you never got into Merciful Fate because of King Diamond's vocals and you wish there were more black metal than there just dark heavy metal that Merciful Fate plays, check out Negative Plane. These guys are, again, like a lot of bands on this list, stupidly underrated. They've been plugging for years and years and never really gotten the adoration of a wider black metal fandom. Everything on this album is meticulously crafted. Every snare hit, every cymbal crash, every lyric, it all fit in the grand scheme of the story being told in the album. Now, who's it gonna be for Wheels of Mercury Metal Album of the Year for 2022? Hostile Architecture by Inspire. There is not an album that I've mentioned more in the comment section than Hostile Architecture. This album got me to care more about the homeless people living in my home city. Not only St. Catharines, but up in Toronto too, where homeless people are just everywhere. Let me put it this way. If an album gets you to care about stuff, about real issues, like the stuff described this Hostile Architecture album, if an album gets you to care about stuff like that, then I'd say that's a win. It's an album I haven't been able to stop thinking about for a long time in 2022, and I bet you I will keep spinning it for years and years to come. And yeah, great job, Inspire. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my metal album of the year, Hostile Architecture by Inspire. And that is it for the second annual Golden Wheel Awards. If you notice that this video is a little janky and full of minor continuity errors, this is because I filmed this in the span of 2 days. Yeah, with all the hiccups and technical difficulties and figuring out what to say without a script, this is hard for me to do. Don't know how people like Robert Walton from the Metal Meltdown and Daniel Green, who does fantasy news stuff, do it without a script because it's freaking hard. Hopefully my ramblings about all these albums are coherent enough to get you guys to check out all of them, or at least some of them. Hope you guys enjoyed this second annual Golden Wheel Awards. I have one video sort of planned in the works, script for an AWAM video in the works. All the albums nominated that I talked about will be in the description down below, in this long ass description box. So, with that out of the way, let's wrap this up. Happy 2023 guys, rock on, and I'll see you in the next video.